4,000 years ago, one single ancient city rose so high above the flat desert plain that the world simply called it the Gate of the Gods. Stand at the edge of the wide Euphrates River and look north, and you would see mud brick walls so vast they swallowed the entire horizon whole. This was Babylon, once the most powerful city on the entire planet, built from river mud, endless ambition, and the will of one single king. Today, we are going to slowly walk through its gates, its markets, its gardens, and its palaces, exactly as they truly once stood centuries ago. From miles away across the plain, travelers saw Babylon long before they ever reached it, a golden haze shimmering above the flat riverland. The outer walls stretched for more than 11 miles, thick enough that 2 full war chariots could race side by side along their wide top. Watchtowers rose every few hundred feet along the wall, their sun-baked mud brick faces glowing under a desert sun that never seemed to rest. Merchants, soldiers, and weary pilgrims funneled slowly toward a single glowing entrance, its surface shimmering brilliant blue in the heat. That grand entrance was the famous Ishtar Gate, and nothing else in the ancient world had ever looked quite so strange or beautiful before. Glazed bricks, the deep color of lapis lazuli, covered every surface of the gate, catching the sunlight like water frozen mid-ripple in stone. Rows of golden lions, bulls, and horned dragons marched endlessly across the walls, sacred animals standing guard along the road to the gods. Each lion carved into the brickwork was slightly different, its mane shaped carefully by hand, a quiet act of art hidden inside raw power. Guards dressed in bronze armor stood watch beneath the towering arch, checking every merchant before allowing them to finally pass through. Beyond the gate, the noise of the living city rushed forward all at once, a great wall of sound after the long silence of the open desert road. The processional way stretched out ahead, a wide stone road paved with limestone slabs, polished smooth by centuries of endless sandaled feet. During great festivals, priests carried heavy statues of the gods down this very street, trailed by huge crowds chanting together in unison. On ordinary quiet days, it was simply the city's beating spine, packed with donkey carts, spice traders, wandering dogs, and barefoot children. Tall decorated walls lined the entire road, covered with even more golden lions, each one facing outward as if still standing eternal patrol. Every visitor understood the message instantly. This city did not just worship raw power, it had literally built that power into solid stone. Turn off the grand main road, and the monumental architecture gave way to something raw, the tangled noise and chaos of the crowded open bazaar. Vendors shouted loudly over each other, selling ripe dates, raw wool, dyed cloth, and small clay tablets carefully etched with cuneiform script. The rich smell of roasting barley bread mixed together with wet river mud, animal sweat, and the sharp, lingering tang of freshly cut spices. Scribes sat cross-legged near the crowded stalls, pressing trades into wet clay tablets before the desert sun could ever harden their words. Rich and poor brushed shoulders freely here, because inside Babylon's crowded markets, coin and cleverness mattered more than birth or blood. Babylon was not simply built beside the Euphrates, it was built entirely around it, laced with narrow canals like veins running through skin. Reed boats drifted quietly past mud brick homes, carrying grain, fresh fish, and heavy timber from small villages far up the winding river. Bridges built from stone and heavy timber connected both riverbanks together, an engineering feat that startled visitors from distant lands. Children waded happily in the cool river shallows, while women washed linen on flat stones, worn smooth by generations of daily riverside use. The river truly was the city's lifeblood, and without its steady flow, none of Babylon's grand stone ambitions could have ever existed at all. Rising above the crowded rooftops stood something travelers struggled to believe was real, a mountain of green rising from endless desert sand. Terrace after stone terrace climbed skyward, planted thick with palm trees, flowering vines, and rare blossoms imported from distant lands. Legend says a powerful king built the gardens for a homesick queen, who deeply missed the green mountains and forests of her faraway homeland. Hidden stone channels and creaking water wheels pulled river water steadily upward, feeding roots that had no business growing so terribly high. Standing beneath the terraces, the crushing desert heat seemed to vanish entirely, replaced by cool shade, birdsong, and damp green leaves. Further into the heart of the city rose a structure that would one day inspire an entire legend of a tower reaching all the way to heaven. The great ziggurat, called Etemenanki, climbed upward in stacked stone terraces, each level built noticeably narrower than the one beneath it. At its very summit stood a small stone shrine, reserved only for priests, said to be the sacred resting place of the great god Marduk himself. From that dizzying height, priests could see the entire sprawling city below, its walls, canals, gardens, and endless rooftops all at once. To ordinary Babylonians walking the streets below, the tower stood as proof their city rested closer to the heavens than any other on earth. Nebuchadnezzar's grand palace sat close to the river, a fortress of brick decorated with even more glazed lions, bulls, and horned dragons. Inside its vast marble halls, throne rooms echoed with foreign tongues, as envoys from conquered lands arrived, bringing tribute and quiet fear. Deep storerooms held fragrant cedar shipped from Lebanon, fine silver pulled from distant mines, and enough grain to survive a lengthy siege. Every hallway inside was carefully designed to remind visitors of one simple truth, that mighty Babylon answered to no empire but itself alone. Yet even the mighty kings who built such wonders could not outrun the slow, patient, and relentless march of time, working steadily against them. Empires rose, and empires eventually fell, and in time Persian armies marched calmly through gates that were once thought utterly unbreakable. The canals slowly silted over, the great bricks crumbled, and the desert patiently reclaimed what human hands had spent lifetimes building. For many long centuries, Babylon existed only inside scripture and legend, a city so impossibly grand that people doubted it was ever real. Then archaeologists finally uncovered glazed lions buried deep beneath the sand, quiet proof that the old legends had been telling the truth. What was lost to time was never just a city. It was evidence that human ambition alone once built genuine wonders out of simple river mud. And yet, despite conquest, flooding, total collapse, and centuries spent buried beneath sand, the city of Babylon was never truly forgotten. If this journey through the ancient world captivated you, please consider subscribing for even more lost cities, brought vividly back to life. Tell us in the comments which ancient city you want us to walk through next, because so much history is still patiently waiting to be explored.